welcome back to another Game Time Discussions. I'm Emery Cuzzy. I'm sitting here with Dustin Zimmerman, and we're going to be going over the Week 13 recap from college football. There are a lot of things we have to talk about.
Yes.
And then also looking forward to what we like to call Rivalry Week. It is Week 14 of the college football season, the last week of the regular season. This is when all the teams get to play their rivals and stuff. But let's get into talking about how these games ended. We had a ton of games that came down to Hail Marys or crazy endings.
Goalpost ripped down and then put back up.
Yeah, that was awesome. I was watching that live on my phone because I live in Texas, and my wife is a UT and an A&M actually alum. It's a little weird, but her parents are UT fans, and we're watching the game. We're sitting there watching the UT game, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm watching the BYU game on my phone because I'm like, I want this on the TV, of course.
Right.
But like, I want to see this because,
game.
I mean, I don't care about UT at this point. They're up. It's in the end of the fourth quarter.
They were up 3 scores.
They both games started at the same time, and I'm like, okay, this game needs to end so we can go to that other game.
I want to flip over.
13 minutes of time to get all the people off the field, the goalpost put back up so that the game could start. The UT game actually finished. We switched to the other game, and they're about to snap the ball for the last play. So it was really cool. But yeah, let me pull the screen up so we can see all these teams from last week and kind of go over where they were, because they're not where they are anymore.
Nope.
We've talked about this a few times. We've had a ton of turnover on these AP polls, and I don't agree with a lot of what the new AP shows necessarily on where teams are ranked.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's so many movements because of the amount of teams that lost. If you look at the board up there, we've had a pretty consistent top 4 every week, but everything after that has been just up and down craziness.
Trading spots.
Yeah, exactly. But let's get into it. Let's get some recap games. First off, we have 7 games to recap, 6 of them on the board right now. Now, all of these games were either blowouts, unexpected, or crazy finishes.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Yep.
Starting off, Ohio State just beats the crud out of Indiana. I was wrong on my prediction for my Superdog.
I liked your prediction. I said I thought it'd be close.
Well,
but
yeah,
this wasn't close.
I think the biggest thing is, like, of course, Indiana hadn't played anybody, but I also think Ohio State is the best team in the NCAA. So
I would agree with that right now.
And it was at home. And the
power
whole
rankings agree too.
Yeah, and it was at home, and they just looked so much better. Indiana did come out and score a touchdown early. I
was about to say they jumped on an early lead.
They scored the first touchdown and the last touchdown.
I was about to say, and then with the third and fourth stringers in, they got another one.
Well, they scored the last touchdown, and then Ohio State proceeded to no 4 stringers. Travion Henderson ran for 39 yards after the onside kick to the 1-yard line, and then they punched it in. So Ohio State was just running up the score,
awesome.
Which is great to see, because it was 31-15. You push this score over to 38-15, it looks really bad.
A quick point there is, nowadays you hear a lot of coaches, it used to be the unwritten rule, you've got the win, take your knees, get out. But with the metric era and everything being analytics, and I know that the actual playoff rankings are committee based, but all the rankings ahead of that, everyone's largely using data nowadays.
Yeah.
You kind of have to run up the score to look good on all these different metrics. Winning 28, like say they had stopped trying, blah, blah, blah.
Win by 14.
Winning by 4 possessions versus 3 is a completely different area of game control and winning differential margin, which everyone's been using for Indiana leading up to this point.
Yeah.
Obviously got disproven this last week. But it's kind of strange just to see that. Like, you don't hear commentators go, I can't believe they're still going. They're like, yeah, well, they kind of have to now.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the era we're in.
And then the next game, the same thing happened.
Yeah, Notre Dame just didn't care.
Notre Dame first off, Army could not stop their running game. I mean, they just ran all over them in that game.
Army was basically Indiana, but with an even worse strength of schedule.
Right.
So
that's absolutely fair. But I just I did not expect maybe Jeremiah Love being as good as he is. 130 rushing yards in that game, and he probably could have gone for like 300 if he was allowed.
He's also on a touchdown streak. I can't remember if he's at 10 or 11 games. 11 games now.
Him and Dylan Sampson, I believe.
Yeah.
Both are at 11 games. But yeah, so Notre Dame blows out Army. Army has a very, very long shot to make it to the playoffs at this point.
Yeah.
Alabama looked. This is actually funny enough because Cam was like so excited because I was on Indiana. I thought Indiana should make it into the playoffs.
Sure.
And then Cam, of course, we were texting and I was like, I love chaos. And Cam was like, well, when Ohio State beat Indiana, I got all excited. Well, then Alabama gets beat by Oklahoma, and all of a sudden, all that excitement went away because his team that he was trying to say should make the playoffs was Alabama. Their schedule and all this stuff, and they're in the SEC. Which okay, good thoughts. They lose to Oklahoma 24-3. Oklahoma runs for 200 and a ridiculous amount of yards.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Arnold was running all over them. The quarterback that got benched and got
non-running QB
exactly
on the team.
So it was pretty crazy to see 24-3. The bigger part is, of course, the 3 points. Jalen Milroe being good. Ryan Williams supposed to be good. Good running backs.
Yeah.
Good offensive line. What happened? Just falling apart over there.
People were not happy with Kalen DeBoer? I don't really know. It's DeBoer?
DeBoer.
Okay.
Yeah.
From what I was seeing on different game threads and forums and stuff, is mainly from Alabama fans, was they were all admitting we got completely outcoached, and what is he doing? How do we not adjust? In the past, Nick Saban would have said, okay, we're down 2 scores. Time to run it up by 40 in the fourth quarter.
I can't remember.
We just haven't seen that with them this year.
Yeah. Oklahoma lost to Missouri last week, and I believe in that game, Missouri did run basically all over them. Let me make sure before I go crazy and say something off.
South Carolina beat Missouri in a close one last week.
This was then 2 weeks ago off by
it was November 9th. It was 2 weeks ago.
Okay, yeah. So Missouri had 130 135 rushing yards out of Missouri. I believe they brought in, I wanted to say that Missouri was kind of outplaying Oklahoma pretty good. They did win 30-23. They were able to basically do anything they wanted to. I was trying to talk about how Alabama could not get their running game going with their quarterback, running zone read and stuff. There was a couple weeks this year, I believe, Oklahoma had some really tough times against rushing quarterbacks.
Yep.
As you can see, that did not happen. 3 points. They were coached well, like you were saying, changing what they were doing to make sure that they were not allowing Jalen Milroe out of the pocket and things like that. But yeah.
Yeah. One more thing on that before we move on to the next one. Saying how Alabama had trouble with a running quarterback. Jackson Arnold, a quarterback that was running in the game.
And yeah,
your team's quarterback is arguably a top 3 running quarterback in the country. Yeah. How do you not have a game plan?
Just adjust. How do you not adjust? Because why would practice
you have to?
Well, my thing is,
should be your first step if that's what you're used to seeing every day.
Well, maybe you come into the game not expecting a running quarterback, but then you're like, oh, this guy's running on us. You just say, hey, we do this all day in practice. Just adjust to this.
Nobody had any way to go, you know what? I see it 5 days a week. Maybe we'll take today off.
Right, exactly.
I don't understand how that is the way the game plan went, but
yeah, for sure.
Props to them though. Props to Venables for pulling that team together, firing the OC midseason and saying, all right, we have a team again.
Yeah, and I think Jackson Arnold's the best thing for this team. I think that the fact that he was benched by the old OC tells you a lot about what really is going on there. Also, blaming Jackson Arnold for poor coaching a little bit there earlier in the year. So it is what it is. Yeah. But going on to the next game, this was the game we were talking about where, this game is going to get fined twice. The Arizona State Sun Devils will be fined twice because they rushed the field twice in this game.
I wonder if they've released the fines yet.
Check it. But basically, Arizona State, terrible. And I was texting and I was like, is anybody watching this freaking game? It's going crazy, guys. Because Arizona State gets an interception. They're up 28-3. They get an interception after BYU gets the ball back. With a minute and something left, I wish I had the times in front of me. I apologize because I need to grab those because it was actually so insane that we probably should talk about this because this is a big thing that is going to be needed to kind of be adjusted by coaches. You work these things every day in practice, or at the end of the week, you have a day, and I do this. So we did this in football, but you have a day where you have a perfect day is what it's called, kind of. You go out there in shorts. You don't even wear your helmet. You go through all the situations, everything that could happen.
Right.
We do
once in a game type situations.
The kickoff where you stand out of bounds and you pick the ball up.
Yeah.
You do the where you throw the ball out of the back of the end zone so that a safety happens in certain situations.
Which
that works
still
out
better than if you're up 3 in the game with it.
Exactly. So in this game, there was 58 seconds left, and Arizona State got the interception, ran it back down to the 3-yard line.
Yeah.
They tried to. They have 58 seconds left. They tried to then run the ball with Cam Scadaboo, who's a really good football player for them.
Yes.
And he goes down. BYU knew it was coming. He goes down. They call a timeout, and then on second down, wait. Let's see. Cam Scadaboo on first down for 4 yards to the BYU 3. Timeout. On second down and goal, Sam Levet, their quarterback, runs for a 26-yard loss to the BYU 29, which takes off 5 seconds.
Did you see that play actually happen?
Yes, I was watching all this.
What happened? I was watching on Gamecast because I was at an event, so I couldn't.
He literally just took off running backwards.
Oh, they actually did it.
Fell down. Yes.
Generally, you save that for the last play of the game.
Well, yes. So he took off, ran backwards, fell down.
Okay.
There was no more timeouts. 40 seconds came off the clock. He goes, and they do it again on third down. Run for a 10-yard loss to the BYU 39. Falls down. And then on fourth down, as the clock runs out, basically they take a delay game, so go back 5 more yards. They're on the BYU 44 now.
Mm-hmm.
What they do is they throw the ball out of bounds on that play with 7 seconds left. And when the ball hits the ground is when it's done.
Right.
I actually thought they should have just run to the back of their end zone and got a safety and lost the game that way because
would have wasted more time.
Right. 7 seconds to 1 second. Ball hits the ground with 1 second left, and BYU gets to go on the field on offense.
Right.
They throw a Hail Mary, catch it, and fall down at the 3-yard line. I wanted BYU to win that game really badly because I didn't think Arizona State deserved to win that game.
They called that an incomplete pass, by the way, the BYU one.
Interesting.
Yeah. I remember at first it was complete, and then I saw stats later that said it got switched to incomplete. So
Whatever.
I don't know if he dropped it or whatever.
Okay. But yeah, he had a chance to catch the ball and win the game for BYU because of the poor time management, play calling, and everything. Just score the touchdown, or at that point where you were, run that ball out of the back of the end zone.
Yeah.
7 seconds from the 44.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can do that math, but like that is a long way. You're probably going to have 5 seconds if you just ran a straight line back that way.
Mm-hmm.
Do a little zigzag. 8 seconds comes off the clock, run out the back of the end zone. They couldn't do that. They almost lost the game. Mm-hmm. So it was crazy to watch. I mean, I was just like, and then of course the fans rushing the field twice, taking down the goalpost twice. The whole thing was just poorly. It was very unprofessional.
Yeah.
And then also
good at all.
Terrible coaching, time management wise. Yeah. You literally work these situations.
Yeah.
Like, do better.
Yeah,
so.
You got to have that one ready. But it did remind me of the Central Michigan-Oklahoma State game from 2016. Mm-hmm. When Oklahoma State did that, they basically did exactly the same thing. They threw it as high as they could and landed out of bounds with 1 second left. And then Central Michigan caught it on like the 10 or whatever, and pitched it to the team
and
ran and actually scored. And
I wanted BYU to score here for this reason of like, you didn't deserve to win that game based on the exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so that was crazy. Going to the next game, so we can get off of this game though. Ole Miss and Florida. Florida is the best 5-loss team in the nation, I believe. 5 losses, right? Not 6.
I believe they're at.
Thought they were 5.
Aren't they at 6?
But they're the best. One of the best teams in the nation right now, playing with DJ Lagway. DJ Lagway has one of the highest grades for deep balls in the whole nation of any quarterback. He is a true freshman right now. Been really good. They have since
5 losses. Yeah,
5 losses. And who are the teams they've beaten in the last 4 weeks? Because I know they're just crazy names.
One of them, Ole Miss, obviously. They got smacked by Texas. They were beating Georgia until Lagway went
That's
down.
right. Yeah.
And then before that was beating Kentucky and then losing to Tennessee in that close one.
Yeah. So one thing that we did talk about a little bit, and they did beat Ole Miss here. Ole Miss did leave some points on the board. One thing that I think is important, and I'm going to make this a take because I want this to happen. I want to get in it. I want the NCAA to see it. But basically, I think that Kansas, the best 6-loss team in the nation,
yes, they are,
and Florida, the best 5-loss team in the nation, need to be in a bowl against each other. as soon as, because I do believe Florida will win this next week, and then of course because they're playing Florida State, and then I believe that Kansas will beat Baylor.
Yeah,
because they're just better at this point in the year.
Florida's already bowl eligible because they're 6-5. Yeah, Kansas. Honestly, though, the most Kansas thing ever would be to win. What are we at? 3 straight ranked games, and then lose to Baylor. So
of course. But I do want to see them play in a bowl. Yeah. That would be amazing to have.
The absolute mid-off of the century.
Yes.
And it would easily be my favorite one that is a don't leave, don't change the channel. This is on the main TV. Anything else goes on the phone on the side.
Right, exactly. So please make that happen, NCAA. That would be awesome. And then the last game on the board is the Kansas Jayhawks against the Colorado Buffaloes. Kansas beats the brakes off of Colorado. Florida beats Ole Miss pretty handily, actually. And if you watch that game, they ended that game super well. Jackson Dart threw those 2 interceptions.
Well, he threw a third that got overturned.
Right.
He about threw 3 picks in a 2-minute, not game time, actual time span, and cried within twice in that same span.
Yes.
I actually feel really bad for him. I've talked about how much I like him as a player.
Yeah, I really enjoy him
on previous episodes, so I do feel bad for him. But upsets are fun.
Lane Kiffin might be, and I texted you this, but Lane Kiffin might be one of the worst coaches in football because he has one of the top 4 talent of his roster in the whole NCAA and has lost games to Kentucky, Florida, and I want to say a good team. I think he actually lost to somebody good.
LSU.
Otherwise, that's right, and LSU. So, well, are they good?
To not be,
are they good? Right. So
as good as we thought originally.
Their resume is not shaping up to get them into the playoffs, in my personal opinion.
No.
So, and then the last game we have to talk about. Hold on, where's my cursor? There we go. Let's go see it. Oh, there it is. Oh, I had to make sure this was a special game for Dustin. It's on the big screen. Dustin, I did not think would be coming today after this game happened.
I didn't want to. I'm forced to be here.
Yeah, okay. The number 15 Texas A&M Aggies played against the Auburn Tigers. Auburn in triple overtime. Shoot, I think it was triple overtime, right?
Yeah, because they were doing the double.
That's right.
The 2-point conversions,
and
back and forth by
missed both times, right? On the first one.
No, they both.
They both missed on the first one.
They got field goals.
Yeah.
Or which part are you talking
about? So
conversions?
They both scored the first 2 touchdowns in the first overtime.
Right.
And then in the second overtime, they both missed the 2-point conversion. Because if y'all haven't watched, the NCAA has changed the rules. They don't want these crazy long games, which we want, because I wanted A&M versus LSU.
Hey, an A&M win is what caused the rule change.
So, I know, 72-64, right?
No, it was on the 2-point conversion. It was 74-72.
Oh, that's right. Okay, okay, cool. Wait, whatever, same thing.
Oh, I remember.
And then Auburn does score they were first on offense. They score their 2-point conversion, and then Marcel Reed throws a perfect pass
on a trick play.
On a trick play, which was a ballsy play.
Yeah, I couldn't believe we did that on the tying one. I would have expected on the next play.
Right, on the 3-yard line.
Colin Klein is out here.
And you dropped a perfect pass.
Yes, unfortunately, Amari Daniels dropped the pass in the end zone untouched.
The sad part is, he had a good game.
He was getting a lot of hate from Aggie fans, and it was very much undeserved.
Yeah,
because without him, we had
no chance.
Nothing.
Yeah. So I mean, we had a great game, and I feel really bad for him because he absolutely did not deserve that hate that we're talking about. He was playing his butt off for that team. But this game was really hard.
Yeah.
And Dustin did put it as one of his picks of the week. So, and it wouldn't have hit in the 2-point conversions anyways.
Right. Yeah. So. No. Once I saw that, I was like, well, it's gone. Let's just get the win. Nope. We can't do that either.
Yeah.
Torian York, the defensive captain for A&M, plays linebacker, in his press conference today as they're doing media days for upcoming week. I think he even said, something like, don't blame the offense. Don't look at them. We gave up 21 points in 13 plays to start the game. We can't do that.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. That's absolutely true.
100%.
Defensive line was not playing well. The best part of your defense was not playing well. So that's a really hard ask for your offense. They did come back and tie it at 21-21, which was
lead too.
And took the lead, which was good to see.
Yeah.
So I think that, A&M is actually good.
Yeah.
And
in my opinion, we're ranked correctly now, which we'll get to in a minute.
And we'll talk about their upcoming game also because they are a rivalry game this week. So.
Well, and it's got possibly the most implications.
We'll talk
of
about
all
it. It's
games.
upcoming.
Yep.
But these are the top 25 teams that lost. There are 7 of them, just like last week, because that's just what top 25 teams do, apparently.
Yeah.
Very interesting to see this dynamic up on the board, too, because we've seen BYU twice up there, but there's 2 Big 12 teams. There's a Big 10 team, which doesn't really matter, but there's 3 SEC teams killing their own fate, basically.
Yeah.
They controlled it, and it's really looking bleak. So we'll go on to the AP. So here's your new AP poll. Lots of green. The red ones are the teams that lost, and then the top 4 have stayed the same. I'll let you start it off.
Yeah. Oregon is still Oregon.
Yeah.
They won bye week. They didn't drop. Nothing could have happened to them. Part of me always wonders the whole like the team below them doing better. We saw with Georgia and Texas earlier this year, but in this situation, I think we've got the pollsters are out there going, they're gonna solve it themselves in the Big Ten championship. Just leave it as it is. There's no reason to cause chaos.
I agree completely with that. As we talked about, Ohio State dominated, and they are on Rivalry Report for this next week because they will be playing Michigan. Texas basically dominated also Kentucky, and they will be playing Texas A&M, which is another rivalry that we'll get to because we will have a full breakdown of rivalries. Penn State playing Maryland. I think Maryland's not bad, but I think Penn State's going to pretty much get them. But they almost lost to Minnesota at Minnesota.
Right at Minnesota.
They were down for a lot of the time, so I actually was really surprised. But I believe they were down at half. I couldn't believe the score when I saw it, actually, because I believe they were huge favorites. I think they were.
Yeah, that was a weird one. I mean,
I'm trying to find.
Well, we know you're a huge fan of James Franklin, so there's that.
They were 12-point favorites in that game. So basically, and they were, like I said, they were down at halftime, 19-16. They did have a. I don't know if you saw it, but they had a blocked field goal.
Oh no!
So it was they scored to tie the game 17-17, blocked extra point, returned for a touchdown by Minnesota. Minnesota went up 16-19. That's how the first half ended.
That's fun.
Yeah, so they were down for a lot of the game actually. So, and then we'll go to Notre Dame. Notre Dame beats our Army. They do get to have a rivalry game. It's not going to be much of a rivalry game, I don't think, though, with the USC Trojans.
Yep.
Georgia is in our rivalry report.
Yep.
They are playing Georgia Tech. Tennessee is now, I believe, is out of the SEC championship game. But
yes, it is mathematically impossible for Tennessee to be in it.
Right, but that actually probably helps their chances of making the playoffs.
That was my opinion on it. I've seen this come out over the last 4 or 5 weeks of grumblings of, is it better to miss the SEC championship game with all these teams taking each other out?
Right.
And for Tennessee, it is. They are in a no-loss situation. They're essentially, assuming they win the next game, locked into the playoff.
I think A&M is the one that hurts the most, and we'll talk about why in a little while, but they have to play Texas this week, and then they would have to play Georgia if they did win that game in the SEC championship. So that they control their destiny, but it's a
we controlled it a lot better.
It's a steep climb right now. And then going to Miami.
Boo.
Yeah, they beat
they
beat Wake Forest. They do get to play Syracuse, which I think would be is a upset possible type of game, and I almost picked it for my super dog. I didn't. I wish I did, honestly, a little bit. But I had a ton of super dogs on the board, and I was like, I don't know which one to pick. Yeah. There's actually a lot of good ones this week. SMU, they are into the ACC championship game.
Shout out SMU, first year. They brought all the checkbooks back out, and they're good again.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
That Central Dallas money.
I was not alive for the original Pony Express, so I'm excited to see the legal Pony Express. It's great.
Indiana gets exposed. Still makes the playoffs most likely because they will be a one-loss team.
They're still Indiana. Now they're ranked 10th. And
it all makes sense.
We'll get to the championship scenarios later.
And they lost
in the same spot as Tennessee now.
They only lost to Ohio State. Like out of every team to lose, only team to lose to, it's like that is the best team
100%.
In the country right now.
Yeah. And again, on the road. It's not like they were hosting them and had all the momentum.
Boise State is playing Oregon State. And They have to win their championship game to get in, basically.
Yeah, I
at this
mean,
point.
everything with Boise State is win out and you're good.
Yeah.
If you do not, then some really weird stuff happens.
Yes. One of my favorite games on the board for this week is Clemson versus South Carolina. It's a rivalry game, and South Carolina has looked so good. I think they could. We'll talk about it in a minute, but I think they're a very scary team to possibly make a push, and we'll get into them because they're in a couple picks here. Alabama losing to Oklahoma, but in my opinion, they shouldn't be 13th. They should be farther down.
I agree, but I mean, it's kind of hard with this one. I'd have Arizona State above them.
You wouldn't have South Carolina above them?
Personally, mine would be Arizona State 13, South Carolina 14, and then put Bama at 15, Ole Miss at 16, because I'm not putting Iowa State above either of them.
That's fair, especially in the AP. If it was the playoff committee, I think you could put Iowa State above them because you do know that Iowa State has to play in the Big 12 championship.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't really matter. For the aesthetic, I think our Arizona State, Iowa State next to each other would make a lot more sense.
Right.
Is all.
Yeah.
But South Carolina needs to be above both Alabama and Ole Miss, in my personal opinion.
I completely agree.
So going to Ole Miss, they do have a rivalry. Also, they're playing Mississippi State this next week.
Bulldogs.
An in-state rivalry. South Carolina, we just talked about. They will be in a rivalry game with
another
in-state
rivalry.
Another one, yes. Iowa State is playing Kansas State. If they do win, they are in. So this is a big game for them. This is a playoff game for them, basically.
I mean, it basically is because if they lose,
they're out.
The playoff's gone.
Yeah, they're out. Tulane looking really good, but they are playing Memphis this week, and that is a fun game.
That's going to be a fun one.
We will be talking about.
I'm a big fan of that one.
BYU plays Houston. I'd expect them to roll.
Yeah, they'll probably win by 40.
Yeah, and we'll talk about all the scenarios here in a minute for all these teams to get into their conference championships and playoffs. Texas A&M playing Texas, like we said. That is an awesome note. I will let you talk about it.
I'm not going to leave that note.
Oh, you're going to take that note off?
Oh, we're not showing it. Okay,
good. No, I'm not showing it.
Well, we'll get into it once we get to our rivalry games. It's obviously on that list.
Right. UNLV wins another game. San Jose State's a good team, so they beat San Jose State. Yep. They're playing Nevada this week. If they win, they get to play against Boise State, and the winner of that is most likely the Power 5 team that's into the playoffs. Illinois. Okay. Illinois had one of those crazy endings that we didn't really talk about yet. Yeah. Remember I told you we had all these crazy things that happened. We talked about BYU and all that stuff. Well, Illinois, it's I believe they're on their 40 something going in, and they're going to kick they're on their 40 basically, between 35 and 40. They're going in.
Rutgers is 40 because they were preparing.
That's what I mean. Yeah, going in. They're up against Rutgers at Rutgers. It is they're kicking to win the game. It's 31-38 or 31-31, and
31-30. They were down.
31-30. Yep. I apologize.
They were down 31-30 driving.
And Rutgers calls a timeout to ice their kicker. Well, instead of Illinois bringing their kicker back out because they were like, "Yeah, you're probably right. We probably can't kick this ball. This is probably
on second thought. Thanks for the idea.
This is probably too far." Instead, Pat Bryant gets open on the next play, and they scored the go-ahead touchdown to win the game. Go for 2, get it, and they're up by 7 points at the end of this game and win the game at Rutgers. Yep. Just to keep a spot, basically. They were 24th last week, I believe. To keep a spot in the top 25 rankings. I can't believe that happened. I feel bad for Rutgers, honestly.
I think Rutgers was, coming into this game, they're on a 40-year ranked game losing streak.
Yes.
And they had it until they gave a 40-yard, not even Hail Mary.
No.
Crosser route,
yeah, it was a deep cross.
Yeah. And
it was crazy.
Just decided, no, we're not going to tackle him.
I think he ran for 25 yards. So after he caught the ball, it was like Terry McLaurin.
I was just about to bring up, if anybody was watching the Cowboys Commanders game yesterday, Terry McLaurin did basically the same thing on a faster level,
and then lost. They lost though. So because the Cowboys found a way.
That was a chaotic ending.
Yes. But then that game was a lot of fun. That ending was crazy. Colorado loses to the best 6-loss team in the nation in Kansas, like we said.
Rock chalk.
Yeah, they're playing Oklahoma State next week. I believe Oklahoma State is the last place team in the Big 12.
I don't think they've won a game yet.
No. This is the game they're going to win?
I mean, it would be hilarious if they did.
So
I don't think they've won a game in the Big 12.
Wow, I didn't know that. Missouri is our next game. They just beat Mississippi State by 19. That was your super dog. You were wrong on the super dog that I believe on that one, right?
For which one?
For Mississippi State, were they a super dog?
No, that was my spread pick. My super dog was Florida.
Oh, you were right. You got an outright
I
win.
won the
That's
outright
right.
on my super dog.
That's correct.
Number
Yes.
3 of the season for
You
anybody who's
should
concerned.
pick his money lines over there. Not mine. Mine just hit normal.
No one's picks lately, just the super dogs.
They're playing Arkansas this week. Arkansas is pretty good at football, so I would actually think that game will be really good.
Yeah, I mean, there's no playoff implications or anything, but it's a fun game.
Yeah,
They're going to have 2 interesting offenses.
Yeah, and then we have a debatable ranked Army at 25.
I think, again, it's one of those, I think especially now with the expanded playoff, we're going to have lazier pollsters. And that's not really an insult, but like even for me looking at it after the 18, 19 of these teams still have a back way of getting in. And then of course for me personally, A&M 20. After that, I'm kind of like, I guess, sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think
they can be ranked.
I think that's a fair assessment. I think Kansas State should probably be in. If I had to choose a team,
I wouldn't have Army in there at this point.
No,
because their strength of schedule is so bad,
and they lost by 35 points.
Yeah, exactly.
The other teams that are getting votes, I think Memphis should be in. That's who I thought.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't do a Memphis backdoor entry,
especially when they're playing Tulane this week
to build up the mid-major action for the week.
Exactly. So yeah, that's the top 25, and we'll go on to this week's stuff. So going up to the Rivalry Report, there are 8 games. So we have 4 on this one and 4 on the next slide. Ohio State playing Michigan. Ohio State's a 20.5-point favorite. I'm going to lean Ohio State. I think they're the best team in the nation.
Are we guessing spreads or just winners?
We can pick spreads.
Okay, we kind of do both.
Yeah, let's pick spreads.
The big thing is going to be winners. I'm going to go, both Ohio State with the points.
Yeah, I'm going to take both also. I think they're going to win by 35.
Probably. Probably. The game.
Yeah, I don't see any, and it's in.
I'm looking up where I can't remember.
It's at home, so yeah, even more reason to think
what
that.
I thought. Yeah.
And then Texas versus Texas A&M. I'm actually let you go first on this one.
No matter what, there's a 0% chance you or Cam or any of the texts y'all send me about the spread will make me say anything other than A&M.
And by spread?
Money. Of course, I'm taking the A&M money line.
No, the spread.
Well, if I'm taking A&M money line, then yeah, I'm taking the A&M spread.
Okay.
Because they're 600
dogs. Right. My bad.
No, they're gonna win. They're going into Kyle Field. Got to get that stadium pulse back up to number 1. Like it started the year. We lost it for a little.
Like the NCAA football games.
Exactly. Yes. We lost it after Notre Dame came in and played us.
Yep.
But we got to get it back. First time in 13 years the teams are playing. Marcel Reed and the press conferences today talked about how there's the potential a scuffle breaks out, and he does not want that to happen, but it could.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably need the PR team to talk to the freshmen about things not to say in a press conference, such as violence.
We love violence. We love chaos.
Either way,
and we love violence.
We do love.
We
chaos.
do talk about violence a lot when you're playing. When you're playing and your coaches are talking to you in meetings and stuff. Yeah. They talk about violence. You should see the offensive line meetings. It's intense in there.
Oh yeah.
They want to get after you. We actually had a grade for violence.
I'm not surprised.
It's rated out of 1 out of 10. How violent you were during the game.
There's been Bountygate in the NFL.
Oh yeah.
Either way, big asides. Give me A&M outright. They're gonna win this week. It's gonna be awesome. I'll enjoy next week's show.
I'm actually picking Texas to win.
Shocker.
But I'm taking the +6.
Really? So
I am. I think this is a very close game. It's a rivalry game.
Right. Well,
it's really hard. It's really hard though to be comfortable with what I just said.
100%.
So I'm not betting this game at all.
Oh,
because
no.
And no one should. Please don't bet this game. Don't listen to Dustin because he's very biased, and don't listen to me because I just basically I'm not wrong either way. So
A, never official financial advice on this show. B, really with this one, it is not financial advice.
Please don't take this. This is actually, you know what? No, put your whole house on this.
If you want
+6 A&M. I heard it from both of us, right?
Yes. That was said.
All right, so let's go to Notre Dame SC. I'm taking Notre Dame and the points.
Oh, absolutely. I don't care if this game's in California. Notre Dame's going to stomp.
It's not even. I don't understand the +7, the -7.
Who is USC even starting?
At quarterback?
Yeah, they decided to do the late season change of starting quarterback.
Yeah, I don't even know, honestly. At this point, it doesn't even matter.
I mean, yeah,
They're gonna. This is the last game, and they're gonna lose it, and they're not gonna go to. They're gonna go to a bowl, which is gonna be interesting.
I don't know if it's Miller Moss or Jaden Maeva, but either way, Notre Dame. Notre Dame minus 7.5, easy.
Well, Maeva started this last game. So.
Right. I knew they switched them. I just don't know if they're still doing that.
And then Georgia Tech. I want to hear your thoughts on that spread because obviously we're both taking Georgia, but I think that spread is interesting.
First of all, this one is my favorite of the names of bowl games, as it is referred to as clean old-fashioned hate. That is the name of the game, of the rivalry game.
The 118th edition of the clean old-fashioned hate game.
Clean old-fashioned hate.
That's amazing.
Don't know how you come up with that. You've got the really smart people at Georgia Tech, so I trust them that it's a really cool name.
They only added the hate part. Everything else was Georgia.
If Haynes King was healthy,
fair.
I'm taking Georgia Tech to win this game with how bad Carson Beck's been.
Wow.
The problem is I don't think he's healthy still, but I will take the Georgia Tech plus 19.5. I will say, sure, on the record, if Haynes King is a full health playing every down, then I would love to see a Georgia Tech upset.
Pretty sure we did that a few games ago. You were talking about
I took them against Miami, and
that's won. Right. And then
I said if Haynes King wins, Georgia Tech will win.
Well, just so
Georgia Tech will win.
Just so you know, I don't know if you saw the PFF grades, but Aaron Philo had the number 1 grade for quarterbacks.
Guy can throw.
He had the number 1 grade for quarterbacks after just for this week 13 game last week. So, hey, maybe. Hey, you don't know. He's not a running back, though.
That's
the
going
problem.
to be a super fun game.
Yes, I'm excited about it. And all rivalry games should be the plus 19.5 here because all rivalry games are close, much closer than 20 points, in my opinion, other than except for when it's Ohio State, Michigan this week.
Yeah, I mean, that one's just not going to be interesting.
But this next game is very interesting. Clemson and the South Carolina Gamecocks. Clemson minus 2.5. I think that South Carolina will win this game, and they're going to win it convincingly.
I don't know about convincingly. I do agree that South Carolina wins, so we're obviously both on the South Carolina plus 2.5 here. But I do think South Carolina is the better team. I think Clemson got exposed when they did go down to Louisville.
Is it? They lost to Vautech or Virginia. No, they lost to Virginia.
Yeah. Okay. That's right. It was Virginia. They lost to Louisville. Yeah, they lost to Louisville. They beat Virginia.
Okay. Yeah, I had it backwards. My bad.
No worries. But I just think South Carolina wins. That South Carolina team is so complete.
I'm going to tell you, I know you hate when I do this, but I start naming prospects and thinking about the players on the teams. Well, if you want to talk about a team that has a defense, the best possible defense,
please do it with South Carolina.
South Carolina has one of the best defenses in football, easily. Luke Kennard, we've talked about him on our risers list. Oh God, Lee, I did it again. Kyle Kennard. Why do I always do that? I want him to shoot threes for some reason.
Yeah.
Kyle Kennard, shooting threes. He's been amazing. He has 11.5 sacks this year. I just want to read some of these, numbers for sacks. 11.5 out of Kyle Kennard. Dylan Stewart has 6.5. TJ Sanders, who is a fringe first rounder in this next class, has 4. He's a D tackle. Tonka Hemingway, who is also in this class, has 4. That is their D line.
Yeah.
Tonka Hemingway is another guy that's probably going to go in the 3rd round of this draft. 4 guys that are just been amazing this year. So, and then I can't stress this enough. They have one of the best safeties, dual safety linebackers in the class, also Nick and Manawari.
Mm-hmm.
But all of these guys have been so good. And then on offense, we love the style of play that they have. They run the ball hard. I'm on the South Carolina side. I hope they win by 2 touchdowns. I hope, but I think it's close.
Yep. They've got Rocket Sanders back there. He's fully healthy. Lenore Sellers fully healthy.
Fun team right here.
Give me South Carolina.
And then Alabama and Auburn in the Iron Bowl.
Prior to this last week, this was an easy answer. And now I have no idea. I guess I'm going to take Auburn plus 11.5. Considering Bama just got smacked by Oklahoma.
And Auburn beat. Okay.
I missed their game. Alabama got smacked by Oklahoma.
Yeah, this is one of the hardest spreads on the whole board, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. I'm honestly, this is the one I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen.
This is either a close win by Auburn, like a 3-point win by Auburn, or a blowout by Alabama.
I'd agree with that.
And
that's kind of where I'm seeing it.
That's the hardest part of this game. I think I'm going to side with the blowout by Alabama.
I'm gonna stick with Auburn. Yeah,
that's fine.
Why not?
I'm gonna say the blowout by Alabama. You go with the Auburn close game, but either way, either this game is going to be one of the sicko games of the week.
Well, first of all, it's gonna be.
It is a sicko game of the week,
absolutely disgusting.
And or it's going to be just a one-sided affair, basically.
Yeah.
Next game up, Arizona State versus Arizona. I think the Arizona State -9 is interesting. Being in Arizona, not having to travel very far, all those things, I think it makes it okay to say it's kind of a home game-ish, So
I would take Arizona State -9 too.
Okay.
I think they'll cover.
Yeah, I think they're going to win by 9.
They're just playing with a lot more. We'll talk about the conference scenarios in a minute, but they've got a lot more to play for.
Arizona has been awful, so that doesn't help. They've lost, what is it?
With T-Mac.
Yeah,
so bad for T-Mac.
He's been so good.
I know,
by himself. 120.
What, top 5 on the big board?
Yeah, he's going to go top 3. Yeah, in my personal opinion. But they're 1-6 in the last 7 games, and he has 120 yards per game.
Yeah.
This year.
He's doing fantastic
by himself.
They are not.
Yeah, so feel bad for T-Mac. I don't think they can keep this game close, though. 9 points. Cam Scattaboo is too good at football.
Yeah.
And he's good at college football. I don't think he'll ever make it in the pros, but hey, why not? Give him a chance,
That's
man.
to be seen.
Yeah. The next game is Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. -26.5.
This is one of those. It's a rivalry game. So give me Mississippi State plus 26.5.
You're not picking them outright, though.
No.
Okay.
Just plus 26.5.
So Mississippi to win the game plus 26. Yeah, I agree.
I think Jackson Dart is going to have a much better game than
completely agree with you. I'm in the same boat. I think that's
4 scores is a lot of points to be up on a team.
Well, we've seen it with Mr. Purdue. What was their spoiler makers? So
but those weren't rivalry games. And
that's fair.
Purdue continued to show. Again, they lost the moniker halfway through the year. How do you lose the Cinderella moniker?
Yeah,
no one does that.
But next up, we're going to go into the scenarios for these conference games. Who needs to win to get in, and who needs to, what every team needs to do. Let's start off with the SEC. Everybody loves the SEC. Those numbers, those percentages up there, guys, are the chances of them winning the SEC championship, winning their conference. Georgia has a 48.3% chance. They do not have to play an SEC opponent to end the year, so they are in. Texas, on the other hand, and A&M are playing each other. So at this point, the reason those numbers are the way they are is because they both have to win this first game against each other. One of them will have to win, obviously. The winner then plays Georgia, and that's how they base these numbers. I'm actually surprised that Texas is so high at 45.2%. I expect Georgia actually be in like the 50s.
Yeah,
and Texas to be in like the 30s.
Yeah. ESPN matchup predictor has Texas as 77.2%.
Right.
A&M 22.8% for this weekend. So I thought Georgia would be higher. I don't really understand Texas likely being favored in that game, because that's essentially what this is saying.
Yes.
Against Georgia, which is weird to me because the championship's in Atlanta too.
And it was a 15-point loss originally. But it's very hard to win twice. And me and Cam talked about this because I actually, on my first playoff prediction, had Georgia beating Texas 3 times.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Texas has by far had the worst strength of schedule in the whole SEC.
Yeah.
Kind of had a cakewalk compared to these other teams that have been playing much tougher games. And as you can see, they're finally going to play a team in Texas A&M who has been one of the top at least 5 teams in the SEC consistently throughout the year. I think South Carolina could beat them right now.
They already did.
Well, I meant like at this moment, but
they can.
They can.
To be clear.
I don't think Alabama can right now. Ole Miss might be able to. Georgia probably, and then Texas. I did pick Texas outright, so I'm on that side. But I think that the SEC is pretty straight. Obviously, it's straightforward. Yeah. There's a few conferences that are straightforward, and then there's one that is just a complete shit show, to say the least. So
again, the biggest winner here of the A&M Texas game is Tennessee. They do not have to worry.
Completely agree with that. Let me go on to the next. We have the ACC championship. As you can see, once again, disrespect going towards the SMU Mustangs.
Yep.
They are in. They have secured their spot. Miami could lose to Syracuse, and they've got a 47.9% chance this week. They're at Syracuse, which is up there in New York. It's cold.
Oh, yeah.
It's cold up there. From going from Miami to New York in late November, it is going to be very different than. I think it's an indoor stadium, though, isn't it?
I was
Damn
about
it!
to say, you do
Damn
realize
it.
they're in a dome,
Shit.
right? Okay.
Hey, open it.
was
Open it.
waiting for you to figure that out.
Shit. No, they need to open it for real because that changes everything when you take a Miami Hurricanes team from the most tropical place in the country and send them to New York where it's freezing right now.
Well, it's one of those like soft domes. I don't think it has the retractable for anything.
Damn it.
Maybe get some students up there to poke some holes.
Yeah.
Good.
We'll just say that they overwatered the field or something, and we'll play down the street.
There you go.
At the high school or something.
Perfect.
But yeah, I still think that that's a close game either way, though.
Yeah.
And then they of course, have to beat SMU, which I think SMU has been proven to be the better team at this point. So
I will take SMU over Miami head to head.
And we will. Don't you worry, because we'll talk about it after they win Syracuse. And if they lose to Syracuse, we have Clemson, who is in with a Miami loss. They are actually playing South Carolina, who is in the SEC.
They're in the same boat as Georgia.
Done.
Got a game this week, but even if they lose, their conference championship standing does not change.
Right. And that game is not in a dome. No. But not as cold. Unfortunately, Syracuse did not use I would expect a team like Syracuse to be like Buffalo, the Bills, and be like, no, we're playing outside in the snow. It's going to be crazy. Like that Cleveland Pittsburgh game on Thursday night the other day.
Where do the Giants play?
MetLife.
Well, they're not fielding a team, so Syracuse could maybe use their field.
Saying that'd be great
at this point.
Hey, we're going to MetLife instead. That would be awesome.
Giants have no business being out there, so
yeah, fair enough.
Seems open to me.
Neither the Jets either. Don't forget about that.
That's true. Yeah, either way,
green or blue.
Yeah.
Going on to the Big Ten Conference Championship. So as I said, and the analytics also completely agree with me that Ohio State's the best team in the nation.
Yeah.
31.1% chance for Oregon to win the conference. They are in, as you can see by the check mark. They do not have to win the next game, but they most likely will. But Ohio State's going to beat Michigan and then also beat Oregon at a neutral site in the Big Ten Championship, in our personal opinion. And I put the other two teams that actually have a chance of making it. Obviously,
I thought it was funny to include the whole ifs.
Yeah.
Win and this and this.
Right. Penn State's in with a loss by Ohio State and a win because Ohio State would have two conference losses. And then Indiana gets the last bid if they basically both teams above them have to lose and they have to win. And that's how they're in. So,
and that's just not happening. So
I don't see a way. So,
but again, if they win, they should get an at-large bid.
We'll see. I agree because they are a one-loss team.
Yeah.
And the only team they've lost to is the number one team in the nation after the Big Ten championship.
Yeah.
So, and they're playing Purdue this week. I don't see them losing that game.
No.
So let's go on to the one. Oh, I left Big Ten up there. I'm changing it. You go ahead and talk.
So this one is where it gets really fun. The top of it is easy. Arizona State and Iowa State are both win and get in.
Yes.
That's it. BYU gets in if they win and Iowa State loses.
Right.
Colorado gets in if they win and two of the two teams I just mentioned lose. Doesn't matter which two. Just need two of them and then they get that spot.
10.6% chance for that. That's high in my personal opinion.
I don't understand that, but
go on though.
Well, I don't know how analytics pulled that off. And then Kansas State needs to win. And then
the whole thing.
So I put that, but that was only like a quarter of what needed to happen.
I put the main stuff.
They need Kansas to win over Baylor to help because then the next it goes down to opponent conference conference opponent win percentage.
Win percentage, yeah.
But the problem is every other game that we've already listed and then B of the other teams, because there's 4 other teams tied with 3 losses too, that are all basically in the same boat as Kansas State. We didn't include them because their odds are less than like 0.5%.
Yeah. So basically,
they're all doing it against each other.
Yeah. Kansas State has the best chance of the teams that have to have these situations work out. So we put them on here because they have the best odds of 1.8%, which is actually better than Indiana. Just saying.
I don't understand how Kansas. Did the analytics just decide we don't care about the Big 12 and we're just not going to actually do the
analytics?
there's no way Kansas State needs like 7 games to go their way. And there's no way you go, you know what? That's 2% chance.
Just don't forget, they also have to win.
Right.
They have to
on
win
top of that.
because they're playing Iowa State first. Like Iowa State has to beat Kansas State to get in, which will most likely not happen.
Yeah.
I think Kansas State actually wins that game, but then not only that, all those other things have to happen after that, and then they have to win the Big 12 championship.
I mean, my favorite part of all of this is that teams like West Virginia can win the conference.
That's amazing.
Do not ask me the 1,000 things that need to happen and point differentials that have to happen to do it. But there is some
give me Garrett Green
mathematical strategy where they actually make the conference championship at 6-5
wow.
the season and 5-3 in conference.
That's amazing. Give me Wyatt Milam. I don't know if you know who that is, but that's the guy I want from West Virginia. He's their left tackle. Dude's a freaking mountain.
6'6", 317.
He's a mountain.
That's a large human.
He's a mountain. Yeah, he lives in the he lives in that's exactly what. Yeah, he was built by the Abs.
There you go.
But yeah, so Big 12 is a complete shit show, and it's very fun to talk about. It will all sort itself out when Arizona State wins and BYU gets in because they win their game this week. So I would expect that to happen at least. Let me stop sharing. We're going to go ahead and talk about a couple other things. We're going to go over to our playoff roundup. We stopped calling it a conference roundup. It's now a playoff roundup because the only thing that matters at this point is the playoffs because for most of these teams. Let me pull it up here, and we'll get going. So as you can see it now on the screen, there's a lot of teams that still have opportunities to make the playoffs, especially still in the SEC. But I don't know how Alabama still has a 37.4% chance. Oklahoma beating them. If I'm the committee, of course, these are analytics. We're talking about a statistical analysis based on some sort of code that was put into a system and spit out numbers. So 37.4% seems much higher than what a committee is going to be like. They're going to look at that and they're going to be like, they scored 3 points against an Oklahoma team. There's no freaking way we're putting them in.
No, I don't understand Alabama being that high.
Over South Carolina.
I was about to say
they're playing Clemson though.
That's probably my least favorite part is that South Carolina's lower than Alabama at this point.
It's just because they're playing Clemson.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because Clemson is actually favored, and Alabama's going to win this week because they're probably playing some Mercer somewhere.
No, they have their rivalry game this week.
Oh yeah, you're right. They're still playing. Well, I guess Auburn did just beat Texas A&M. Sorry.
Oh, I must have missed that one.
Oh, you're right. Texas A&M has a 6.3% chance, and Ole Miss has a 6.2% chance of making it. South Carolina is the one that really disappoints me in the SEC, though.
So, looking at this right now, there is, according to the data, a chance that A&M wins the conference, doesn't make the playoff.
I saw that.
But other SEC teams do. Like, for instance, if A&M won the conference somehow, they knock off Texas and Georgia. Tennessee has no reason not to be in the playoff still, but then there's a chance A&M doesn't make it.
I think those numbers should be exactly the same.
Insane outrage of putting A&M at 13th, conference championship, and Tennessee at like 8th, for instance. And then you go, well, whoops.
Yeah, I mean, how does that even? I don't think that maths.
Well, I mean, they have to take the top 4 conference championships, and then it would come down to the Big 12 champion versus like a 3-loss A&M.
Right.
They preferred, which I don't know.
No, I understand if they lose to Texas, why that would happen, but I just don't understand if they win the conference championship, they're in. I don't get.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
I just thought it was really funny. I don't think that would ever play out, because I agree with you.
I don't understand how there's a 0.2 different, like you're saying, but what we're talking about is there's a 0.2 difference between them winning conference and then also not making it, which is that should never happen in this situation, in my personal opinion.
Yeah,
they would have had a win against Texas, who is currently number 3, and then also against Georgia, who's number 6 or 7 or 8 or something like that. Yeah. So no, not going to happen.
I thought it was hilarious when I was putting this together yesterday. I was like, "Oh, I'm bringing that up."
Yeah, because it's A&M. Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, basically pretty comfortably in. Going to the ACC, the 23.8% chance to make the playoffs for Clemson. That's basically winning against South Carolina, and
Miami losing.
I think that might be actually more. So I bet 15-ish% of that No. So whatever 9% is off of that. So say 13.5% or whatever
They're saying about 14.2
is based on if they get in with 3 losses.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Especially if we're comparing it to Ole Miss and Texas A&M. SMU and Miami sitting there with really good odds to make the playoffs. I hate the Miami's at almost 80%. That is just so ridiculous to me because that's saying if they lose to SMU, they're still in most likely, which I just can't stand. So, and then going to the Big Ten, everybody's in.
Yeah, there's really nothing to talk about there. It's fun to talk about who's going to win the conference championship, but we already did the scenarios.
Yeah, everybody's in.
There's no reason they shouldn't all 4 be in.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, this final week there's some really weird upsets.
I don't see it happening.
The big one would honestly be Indiana.
Against Purdue? Then they're out.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
For sure.
That's the one that has playoff implication. Yeah. The rest probably still fine.
I think Penn State losing... They almost lost this last week, but I don't know.
They would be saved by the loss of the SEC.
You think so?
Last week.
So they'd ended like a 10, 11, 12.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And then going to the Big 12, which I can scroll. Sorry, guys. Iowa State, Arizona State, BYU, all basically 25% chance.
Basically tied.
Yeah, because we have the conference championship, and those are how those teams are getting in. I mean, it would have made more sense if A&M and has the same situation where BYU has 25.5% and 25.5%.
That's what I figured would happen when I was pulling the data. Then it didn't.
Yeah. Trippy.
It's like,
super trippy. Colorado, Kansas State, that 0.8, and then Baylor at 0.1. Chance to make it is basically them winning the conference. I just don't see that happening. I don't know why that's happening.
I thought it was funny that it was an 8 times higher chance of winning the conference than making the playoff.
I got you. Don't worry. All right. As I was saying,
you're no fun.
I'm sorry.
You don't let me have my fun with my statistics.
It's gone. I'm a math major.
Yeah. So I thought of all people, you'd appreciate it, but I was throwing down.
I don't appreciate Baylor, I guess. I'm sorry. But yeah, so Baylor's not going to make it, but Kansas State, Colorado, most likely not going to make it. But if they win the conference, I think that obviously that puts them in the last Power 5 or the 12th spot, basically, for the conference champions.
Yeah.
And then the teams for the non-Power 4 teams, Notre Dame's in. That should be 100%. I don't know. Like they're going to beat USC.
I was about to say, if you lose to USC, and all the others don't get upset, there's a good chance Notre Dame falls out. I don't think they will lose to USC, so it doesn't matter.
I think that should be closer to 96%, or they should have one of the highest on the board by far, in my personal opinion. Yeah, and they do.
Ohio State and all them.
But they're behind Texas. They're behind Georgia.
Oh, I know.
Who have 2 losses. I mean, I guess their loss is one of the worst losses, though, against Northern Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that makes sense. Tulane, 24.8% chance. And I hate that it's red. I wish it was yellow because it's right there at 25%. And then UNLV and Army both have an opportunity. UNLV has to get in if they beat Boise State in the conference championship. They have to hope that Tulane loses to Memphis, most likely.
I don't know. That gets interesting. Who do you take? UNLV winning out, beating Boise State, or Tulane winning out?
Tulane. I take Tulane.
Really?
Yes.
Even with a win over Boise State for UNLV?
Yes. Because Tulane has been, I believe, let me go grab their scores, because I believe they've been just ridiculous. The games they've lost, Kansas State and Oklahoma earlier in the year. And since then, they've blown out everybody they played in conference and everywhere. They did beat the Raging Cajuns. I don't want to underestimate that because that's a big win. Raging Cajuns are, I believe, 9-1. Oh my goodness. 8-2. 9-2. 9-2.
You know who Tulane's most likely playing in the conference championship, right?
Who?
Army. They're both. Oh, actually, no, they will play in it because they're both 7-0, and the third place is 5-2. It's Navy.
Okay.
So they're gonna play.
There's your scenario for the American.
Yeah, basically, Boise State or UNLV, one needs to lose, and then the other.
Yeah, I think UNLV. If UNLV beats Boise State, which actually, I'm gonna tell you,
it'll be a great game.
Possibly going to predict that because it's hard to beat teams twice.
Yeah. And
UNLV's good. They have a really good style of play that I like, and they almost won that first game.
Yeah.
So it's hard to to count them out.
No.
But I think Tulane gets in because they've been just so good in conference and they've beaten a lot of teams by just margins. It's almost like the Indiana effect.
Oh yeah.
And then Army has a 12.6% chance if they beat Tulane. Hey, Tulane in the conference championship, that's pretty solid. They did get blown out, but they might be the fifth best fifth best conference champion because of that. Still. But yeah, that's our rundown on the conference roundup. It's our playoff roundup. And then we're going to go over to our super dogs. I'm going to let you go first.
I've been building this up the whole time.
Go ahead.
No one saw it coming.
No, not
all
at all.
episode. Oh, Tennessee's in such a good spot. Give me Vandy. Give me Vandy.
To win?
Not only plus 10.5, but to win.
Oh my goodness.
We're bringing down the goalposts. The Commodores are continuing the smart guy weekend. Georgia Tech over Georgia. Vandy over Tennessee. Write it down. Get your checkbooks out. Again, not financial advice. I want Vandy. Go Doors.
You would actually be making some solid money, I believe, on the year if you would have taken all the Superdog money lines that Dustin says. Oh, yeah, because he's won 3. And those 3 cover all the losses by far.
Because they're all like plus 4 and 500.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
This one's 340 right now.
That's actually low compared to what I expected.
It's an 11 a.m. game.
In Vanderbilt.
Vandy has nothing Tennessee to lose. We're bowl eligible Vandy. Give me Vandy.
I mean, it's also a rivalry game. Like,
oh yeah,
it's in Nashville, which is in Tennessee. So they're in state.
That one has a name like the other ones did.
Probably. We didn't talk about it earlier because we knew we were going to talk about it here.
I don't think it has a name. Yeah, it's not it's not near as big of a rivalry as the other ones.
Right.
I can't find an official name for it, but yeah, go Doors.
My problem is Vandy's lost 3 of the last 4 against good teams, and they're just playing another good team.
Yep,
and
nothing to lose.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. And it's a rivalry game, so it's closer than it should be. So I expect this 10.5 to hit because don't forget, Tennessee's been awful on offense. Nico has not been him since like week 4. Yeah. So
it's very disheartening because we both loved Nico.
Yeah, I was excited about. He's a thumbnail.
Yeah,
but not no more.
No. Well, maybe you will be next time, just with tears.
Next year, maybe next year. Oh, that would be funny. I'll put tears. I will actually put tears. Don't you worry.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I think that it's a fair decision. I wish you would have got it at 11.5.
It doesn't matter if they win.
Fair enough. My turn. I told y'all there were a couple that I really liked. One of them, some of them from earlier that we talked about during the rivalry stuff. But the one I actually ended up going with is I have Memphis and the Tulane Green Wave.
Wow.
I know. 14.5.
Is this a Thanksgiving game?
Yes, it's on Thursday. It's an amazing game. It's at 6:30 on Thursday. So if you're watching college football, because I know NFL will be on one TV, but this is your like phone TV that we're talking about earlier, you should have this game on because it's going to be highlight after highlight after highlight. Lots of good players in this game. And of course, you see the analytics, yada, yada, yada. Who cares? It's in New Orleans. So it is Tulane at home. They did. And one of the big things that I want to compare is they both played Navy. This is a different Navy team, but Tulane smashed Navy 35-0, and Memphis lost to Navy.
Yep.
But that was early in the year before Navy had lost to Notre Dame, and since then they have not looked the same. I think that Memphis, I'm not picking them outright like Dustin. He's very, very confident. But if you did pick them outright, you get 425 on this one. And it's a 14.5 spread, so I get to save the 2 touchdowns right now.
Oh, wow. They gave you a point.
Thank God.
Since the start of the episode.
No, not the start of the episode. It was already there.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
I don't know. I thought it was at 13.5 earlier.
No. But I will say that I'm on the Memphis Tigers side of it. Lots of explosive plays. These games, like if you go to these full box scores, I mean, both of these teams can score points. And I just think they both score points.
I'll say your safest bet here might just be taking the over.
Take the over. Yeah, it's only 56.5,
which is insane.
It's only 56.
When you expect 40 from each team at this point.
Implied wise, I mean, you're implying that what is it? Implying right now that Tulane gets 34 points.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a lot of points just to imply one team. Like in the NFL, that never happens. Most spreads are 52 or less, 51 or less. On average, I think it's like 45. So these are the games where you're just going to see explosive touchdowns. Both teams have really good rushing attacks. So both teams have a 1,000-yard rusher. it's going to be a lot of fun. This is the game to watch on Thursday over the games that you're going to see for the NFL slate, because I'll tell you right now, they unfortunately aren't as good as we were hoping for this week because of some of the injuries, Dak Prescott being out. The best game, I guess, is Miami Green Bay.
Sure.
Like,
I'll be watching Tulane and Memphis.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So get this game, get your popcorn. You're going to enjoy it. And I'm taking the Tigers at 14.5, which is, I love that pick. So, and that's it. We're done.
I can't believe you didn't take a super dog to win. You got to go for it. It's the last week of the regular season.
That's
Rivalry
fair.
week.
It's fair. But I will say that I am very high on Tulane also. Yep. So that's kind of the problem with like taking them to win. I just think this game is going to be just 50-50 and close game with like a Hail Mary touchdown to win it at the end, and we're going to get 100 points out of it, and it's going to be awesome.
Probably. It wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. But we appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Yeah. We are going to be doing the Confidence Bowl Pick'ems. We will have a Bowl Pick'em special coming up after December 8th, when they, of course, are going to be doing the actual bowl schedules, announcements,
locking them into their games, when they are, who they're playing.
Yeah, so the December 8th is when they lock them, and then December 14th is when it starts. Yep. We will be doing a special where we do a video where we pick all of them. Me, Cam, and Dustin. That'll be a long video. We might do that live. We'll see. But with that, we are also going to be doing a giveaway with a what's it called? Challenge? No, not challenge. Like we're doing the bowl pick'em with everybody. We're gonna put it out.
Contest.
Thank you. We're doing a contest with everybody where we're gonna put it in a bowl pick'em. Everybody's gonna be there, and we're gonna give the first place line $25 gift card to the NFL shop. That is what we've decided, and I'm very excited about it because that'll be our first one, and hopefully more after that. We're also going to hopefully do the NFL playoffs and everything to come. So we'll get as much information in our Discord. We'll put it on our Instagram, and I'll even make a post for YouTube because I know most people watch the YouTube.
Yeah, so wouldn't be a bad idea.
But yeah, we appreciate y'all hanging out with us, and we'll see y'all next time.
Thank y'all very much for joining us.